the flock is going on? Welcome to FPL Today and this video around ones to watch for FPL season 22-23. In this video, we're just going to go over 11 players that I think could have an amazing season in the 22-23 season based off of what they did in the 21-22 season. Some of these players will of course go up in price from the current prices that were on the FPL game in the season just gone, but hopefully they'll still be of relative value to us and crack on into the next season and be someone we can bring in early that could be breakout stars in the Premier League and for your FPL sides. So if you're interested in seeing these players, and if you're interested in seeing more videos about fantasy football, please make sure to hit that subscribe button, like the video, and also comment down below on if there are any players I have missed, and let's get straight into it. So we're starting off with 3 players who I think, as long as they are starting in the 2022-23 season, I think they might be must-have players in your FPL sides. And we're starting off with Kulusevski from Tottenham Hotspurs, Conor Gallagher from Crystal Palace, or at least he was Crystal Palace last year. Now he's back at Chelsea, but who knows where he'll end up. And Luis Diaz of Liverpool. Now, all 3 of these players had great seasons last year, and I do think, especially with Kulusevski and Diaz, that they could really crack on and get some big point totals in the FPL for next season. Of course, Spurs have now got Perisic as well, which could affect Kulusevski's playtime. But I'd like to think Kulusevski did plenty where he would have earned his place as a starter. Kulusevski is there for next year. He's on an 18-month loan, so he will see out the 22-23 season, which I think is fantastic news for us FPL managers, because I think he could really crack on as part of that front 3 if Kane stays alongside Heung-min Son. So Kulusevski is one of the players I'm recommending. I don't think he'll come in at 6.3 million though next year, so we'll have to see what price he comes in at. And Diaz has been a revelation at Liverpool, absolutely brilliant, to the point where I think Liverpool now feel like they can lose a Mane because they do have Diaz coming into the side. Now I think if Mane does go, and he's been linked with Bayern Munich, then potentially that leaves a gap in the starting 11 for Diaz to just slot into, and I think he'll be a great fit in that Liverpool side. And then finally we've got Conor Gallagher, who of course is going back to Chelsea, but could potentially go on loan again, or maybe even get a starting berth in the Chelsea side. Now, you'd have to wait and see on whether Conor Gallagher is a viable player because of that starting time issue. But if he is, Conor Gallagher had a fantastic season. I really do think all 3 of these players should be in your consideration as long as they are a starting player in whatever team they end up at. And for those of you that want a little bit about the numbers, Conor Gallagher had 34 starts with 8 goals and 6 assists in total. And meanwhile, you had the likes of Kulusevski, although he didn't have as many games, of course, because he joined halfway through the season. 18 games where he managed to get 5 goals and 9 assists. 9 assists is a fantastic number for half a season's worth of work. And then, of course, Luis Diaz, he managed 3 assists and 4 goals in 13 games. So all 3 of these players with great numbers considering the amount of matches they played. Moving on to some other players to consider, we do have Gabriel Jesus, of course, who had a great end to the season for Manchester City and has been linked with a move away from Manchester City, especially with a certain someone having joined Man City. And Gabriel Jesus could potentially go to Arsenal, who I think he could be a good fit at with the young players around him to make sure he gets plenty of chances, and he could be an important figure in the 22-23 season. Now, Jesus' numbers over the entire season were 8 goals and 8 assists, which isn't terrible considering how poor the striker options were last year. So Gabriel Jesus could definitely be someone to consider. We've also got Cucarella, who is from Brighton, of course, but he has been linked with Man City now. I'd worry about game time if he does go to Man City, but if he somehow did play his way into the starting 11, Cucarella did look very good at Brighton, although he only got 1 goal and 1 assist. But I think in a more attacking side with better finishers, you could be looking at a player like Cucarella doing very well for himself. Of course, if he stays at Brighton, maybe he wouldn't be the best option, but we are speculating here over who could have absolute breakout seasons in Fantasy Premier League next year. And then finally, you're probably wondering why I put Dennis in, 5.8 million. He actually managed to get 134 points, which compared to some strikers last year was actually pretty decent. He got 7 assists and 10 goals in total. That is why he's made it here. And apparently he is linked with West Ham. Now, if he goes to West Ham and does become their starting striker, I think you could actually see Emmanuel Dennis manage some repeat of these numbers. And maybe he won't get too high a rise in price. So I do like the idea of Dennis if he does join a Premier League club that will create chances for him. And then finally, to wrap out the side, we have Sarr in goal. Now, Sarr had a decent season, but I think potentially Wolves could get more defensively strong, and Sarr could be a great way into that Wolves defence. We've got Guehi from Crystal Palace. To be honest, you could have gone with plenty of Crystal Palace defenders, because I think Crystal Palace could move on in strength next season. And then we've got Emerson Royale as well. He might go up in price, considering Conte is now starting to get to grips with that Spurs side, and they could be defensively more solid next year. In midfield, we've got Wieser from Brentford at 5.7 million. We've got 92 points last year and really came to the fore in the second half of the season. And then, of course, I couldn't help myself. I put Erling Haaland up front with Dennis and Jesus, because I think Haaland, although he might come in at a very expensive price, could be an amazing purchase for your FPL sides if the likes of Kevin De Bruyne, João Cancelo, and more do find ways to assist him over and over again. His stats from the Bundesliga for Borussia Dortmund have been fantastic. Yes, I know Timo Werner came over with some very good stats as well, though. So, of course, we do have to be a little bit wary. I do think Haaland is a generational talent, and I do think a Man City side that is at the moment the best side in the Premier League, he will get plenty of chances and he should be putting them away. I mean, remember last year when we were all excited about Kane potentially going to Man City. And if you want to know the stats from his time in the Bundesliga, last season in the Bundesliga, he managed to get 22 goals and 8 assists. That is from 24 matches played. The season before that, it was 27 goals and 6 assists from 28 games played. And then the year before that, it was 13 goals and 2 assists from 15 games played. Giving overall in 3 seasons for Dortmund, 67 matches played, 62 goals and 16 assists, which is an incredible number. And that's for Dortmund, not for Man City, who of course will create multiple chances for him in a game. So I know, could be getting a bit too excited, but that is the magic of pre-season, and I'm really looking forward to what Haaland does at Manchester City. So guys, that is it for this video. So if you have enjoyed it, again, please help out the channel by hitting that like button, subscribing, and hitting that notification bell. It really does help out with me making videos and helping the channel grow. So any support is much appreciated. I've been JNO. This has been FPL Today, and remember, it's all about the game.